Hello there and welcome. In this video I got you a tier list for the racial form traits in Age of Wonders 4. I'm going to go over all these and I have added a graphics in the description box below. Sadly there was not all the icons for all the traits currently available in that list. I beg the forgiveness. This video is complete though. That being said, I'm a PvE player, playing mostly hard to brutal difficulties. Don't touch PvP, so this is my perspective on these things. I'm pretty sure that we will have some talk about that, and I will learn something from that, and I hope that you will also have some food for thought. Just that as a previous thing. And yeah, let's get started. And we have a lot of things to talk about. Arctic adaptation, I went here for an A rating. Simply because ice gives you, via tomes, a lot of power in terms of mana and knowledge. There's a big synergy there, and I deem it very powerful. Desert adaptation, I went on B. The synergy options that we got, primals, and then nothing. It's pretty interesting with the primals due to the gold gain that is behind that, but overall, there's just not really much that we can make out of that. I was very close to put that also on a C, but since the primals can make quite good mileage out of that, I wanted to go for B. Desolate, I ranked on C because Ashlands are currently like the worst of all territories. That and their and lava chasms being hard traversable. I don't know. I personally prefer all of the other adaptations above this one because it's just so uncomfortable to play. That's my basic verdict here. Probably a little bit subjective one on that. Swamp is B with a tendency to A. It's really depending on the map that you're playing on. Riverwalk is really powerful, and Swamp provinces are without the adaptation very lackluster. So on the proper environment, very powerful, but generalistically speaking, you can earth shape the stuff into the direction where you want to. Pair it up with a storm giant, and this is easily a to S rating. But since you have to follow the strategy, and since the world has to be formed like that, I ranked it B because Arctic is just more powerful. If anything, Arctic, if you would disagree, then I would say Arctic is S and Swamp is A. But let's move on. Underground, I ranked on A currently. If you run the Tome of the Underground, of the Dungeon Depths alongside B without it. Because Underground is a little bit wibbly wonky to play around. The map generator on the Ogre patches leaves a little bit to wish about. But with the upgrades that you got, it's really powerful to start Underground. If you specialize into Underground, it's really, really fun to play. Can only recommend. Adaptable, I rank that on an S because it's cheap and experience is very powerful on units. You just get so much extra power out of leveled up units. It's really cool. Cheerful, I went on an S rating here too, because morale is directly converted into critical hits, and there's a lot of methods to increase morale. So this one synergizes with a ton of different mechanics, and if you are interested in dealing more damage on the battlefield, it's very cheap, it's powerful, and who isn't? So, cold-blooded, I ranked on B on the other hand, because morale loss was something that I rarely encountered as a problematic condition, and I was very close to rank it as C, but at the end of the day, it is powerful if you have a strategy that focuses around low tier units where you accept high amounts of losses, and I think this is the main quality, and I don't want to talk bad about that because it's very cheap for what it does. Elusive, I ranked that on S because the defense against retaliation and opportunity attacks comes so gosh darn cheap, and +5 is a lot. It's really big, and like I said, it's really cheap. Hardy, I ranked that A because who doesn't like more meat on the bone? But on the other hand, the bonus is relatively low, so I didn't go for an S rating, but it is always good to have more HP. Mound Masters, I went for a B rating because on one hand you gain mobility on certain troop types, on the other hand you also gain a weakness against spear troops, so it doesn't come without a price, but it's fairly cheap, so I weighted somewhere in the middle. Sharp Eyes, I weighted that on a C rating. Vision is valuable and all, but I think I can get so much more mileage out of my trait points that I can't rank it higher. I just didn't rank it D because I still am convinced that vision range is valuable. So, Arcane Focus went on an A rating, because if you are playing with magic damage, it's really, really powerful. But since not every build that you run does play with magic damage, it's not an S rating, but very, very close to it. Bulwark, I ranked that on B, because playing in defensive mode is only really a productive perspective for certain builds that go automatically into defense modes. Golden builds have methods for that. But otherwise, I must say, I value offense more over defense against the AI. That's always more effective in my experiences, at least. Ceaseless Cacophony, I ranked that on B, mainly because the chance is low, but the effect is nice. But it only goes into effect if you get attacked, so I was very close to rank that to C, but it's just powerful when it procs, and that's why I ranked it B. Empowered by Magic, I went for a B here. I want to put it C here again, but then I realized how much non-physical damage the game throws at you, and then I was considering it to put it eventually maybe on an A. So I went for the middle ground here. Fast Recuperation, clear A rating. I was very nudged to put it onto S rating, because regeneration on the world map is just so powerful. But there's so many other valuable choices, and it's fairly costly, and that's why I put it A. Ferocious, I put this onto C, because retaliation and opportunity attacks are very mighty with this trait, but you have to provoke the AI into doing them, and I personally found that never as powerful as just hitting their face straight away. And while it is powerful, I find it not powerful enough in my day-to-day experiences. Herbivore I ranked on an A, because it's just very, very powerful to be able to heal up your units and gain a random buff, but not an S rating because not all environments have stuff to eat. So, the inner Frost, Lightning, and Fire, I all ranked them on B. They're all really nice at what they do, but they require you to play a frontline heavy build, because, you know, at the end of the day, you need to get smacked to get the full advantage out of that, and here's the same verdict I say again and again. Striking first is usually more effective. Keen-Sighted, I ranked that on A, because it's just such a power tool for ranged focused builds, but if you're not playing ranged focus, it's not so powerful. That's why it's not S, but for any ranged focus build, it's almost a must-have. Light-Footed, I ranked on A, with a tendency to S. This doesn't sound like much, but the ability to move in and out between your own lines is so flippin' powerful. With some factions, I really find it almost as a must-have. Industrious, for example, really thrive upon this. Poisonous sits on a B, just like the inner Fire, Frost, and Lightning. Quick Reflexes, I went onto A, with again a tendency to S, because it's a very, very omnipotent tool that is everywhere useful. See, you always will get attacked by ranged attacks, and it's always nice to have a defense against that. I just didn't put it onto S because it's a reactive trait, and I value things that allow me to whittle down the enemy more reliable without RNG more, you see. So, Resilient went on an A, because the lowering of status effects by one turn is really mighty. Combined with the status resistance, really, really mighty. Just not S, because there's not enough really deadly and must counter statuses around to say that this is always a good thing to have. Resistant, I ranked on A, mainly because defense against magic attacks is really hard to get, and it's really nice to have a brush all off thing that helps you a little bit on the entire army of yours. Here, Sneaky goes onto A as well, because flanking is very powerful, and many cultures have tools to provoke flanking. There's many tomes to get yourself into flanking, and altogether, this one gets becomes quickly a 25% bonus damage trait if you wire up your build just decently. Strong, I ranked on S, because there is no culture that has not some share in physical damage, and therefore it's basically a no-brainer to pick that. Pick it, troops hit harder. It's quite easy, it's quite good, but it's also a little bit uncreative, but you know, Killing enemies fast is a very, very good thing to do. Tenacious, I ranked that on A, because it's always nice to retain your power when things go south. It's always nice to be powerful when your troops are getting low because the battle went long and the enemy is strong. Altogether, this one gives you a hidden power-up. Your troops are, as a matter of fact, more powerful than other troops because they're not losing their breath when they're whittled down. This is a really, really powerful one, but it requires you to play lengthy fights, so Alpha Strike and Burst heavy builds don't favor this as much as the ones that like to slog it through. Looking at you, Industrious Primals, for example. So, tough. I ranked that on B, because resistance against melee is really found ubiquitous around all other sources. This is nothing too special. Yes, it is useful. Nothing wrong about that. But it is also easily acquired elsewhere. And that's why I didn't rank it as high as resistant. Defensive tactics ranks on a B for me. I had a hard time. I wanted to put it onto C first. Then I saw the evasion. Then I wanted to put it into A again. But as a matter of fact, since it requires you to bundle up troops, and this is something the enemy can abuse, it kind of like counters the intention, and I ranked it on B. Because it is powerful, yes, but it also provides weaknesses in itself, so I don't know. I had a very neutral feeling about this one. Overwhelm Tactics, on the other hand, I ranked that on an S. Maybe I'm just a sucker for critical hits. Could be, but this is one of the cheapest critical hit steroids in the game, where you just need to link two dudes together to critical hit more often. Since critical hits are very effective and efficient right from the get-go in making your attrition losses lower, I value that extremely high. It's simple and effective. Pack Tactics, on the other hand, I ranked again on B. It has the option to grow way beyond all the other tactics traits damage-wise, but it also needs a certain build-up and makes it more hard to pull off. It's powerful, but I think it requires a certain setup and a certain idea behind it. Otherwise, this one falls flat against Overwhelm Tactics' simplicity and high damage output. Now, Athletics I rank on S, because the fast movement is such a game breaker. Your troops will move stupidly fast on the map, you will be extremely fast on the battlefield, and the strategical advantages of this one are really, really massive. It could be even costing 4 points and it would be still strong. That's how powerful I would value it. Feel free to feel different. Hideous Stench I ranked on B. Yes, it is powerful. Yes, it does have a severe impact, but it's also costly and does require you to rely on things that take full advantage out of the lowered resistance and status resistance. Otherwise, you've sunk a lot of your trait points into something that doesn't pay off a lot. That being said, when you have a strategy that utilizes all this, it's stupidly powerful, but you need that build-up, and that's why I only rank it B. So, Blust Dragon Mounts are ranked on A, because being able to fly is just extremely powerful. You see further, you have a low movement cost, you have advantages on the battlefield. Ugh, it's just, you even have the athletics not athletics, light-footed included, because you can traverse between your own troops. This is a really, really big package. Mobility is one of the strategical assets that is really, really powerful. Death Beetles are ranked on A, because Pestilent escape debuffs and repositions. This is really good for builds that need to keep their backline safe and have mounted backliners, but even if not, the capabilities that this one brings are really, really nice, and since it leaves you in defense mode, you can do some seriously nice movement strategical shenanigans with that. Really, really way better than it looks on the first glance. Dire Bears, I ranked them on C, with a tendency to D, but, well, they don't have enough downsides to be D. More damage on units against defense mode is nice if they would also just clobber them out of their defense mode at the same time. Because the problem that I see and why I dislike them so much is it's really cool to breach formations, yes, but the enemies still have their defense bonuses, so you can follow up good with your troops, and all this is achieving is that you can play a specific playstyle where cavalry can deal a lot of damage regardless of the enemy's defense modes, but that's that. I don't see much more flexibility for that, and other mounts just offer more. That's my personal verdict. So, the Dread Spider I rank on A because the web is powerful and the swift is really interesting as well. But webbing, 2-hex cone, decent damage, by now scales with tier of the units, so higher tier units spit harder hitting webs. It is a really good power package that I played several times with and enjoyed it thoroughly. It's just not S because it's just not enough of a no-brainer. So Eagle mounts, I don't know what the difference between Eagle mounts and Blessed Dragon mounts is except for the skin, so they get the A and the same description. Elephant mounts, I rank these on D. These are the only ones that are ranked D, simply because the advantages that they provide, the Juggernaut, the extra HP are cool, but it's all getting countered by being a large target and being cavalry. So you eat the disadvantages of being huge and being cavalry, so your HP gets pretty much negated by that, and your Juggernaut ability is mostly useful in City Siege situations. Alright, this is pretty cool and all, but City Siege situations really make up, like, the least of my battles in each fight, in each run, so this is an oddly specific strategy. If you are up to bust down a lot of cities, though, it's not a D, alright? But, my personal... I haven't found enough good things about these. Graceful Judges, I went on an A rating here because Touch of Grace is just amazing. All of your troops have some sort of a touch heal ability, and that is just really, really nice. I value support skills, and that blanket availability of support, I find that extremely useful. Mammoth mounts go also on a D together with the elephants because they share the same downside. They have the same advantages. The only difference is that they trade 5 HP into some frost resistance, which makes them, in all honesty, I think more versatile than the elephants, but it's just the same problem. You're huge, you're eating all the disadvantages of being huge, and you're only good at city sieges. Nightmares, I rank on B. The intimidating aura and the vicious killer is really nice, but only if you're playing a morale grinding build. If so, insanely good. If not, you almost don't notice that you have this specific mount. Swiftfoot Raptors, A, with a hard tendency to S, because they are the only ones that get the very fast movement. This is really, really amazing because, you know, you just have a lot of power here, battlefield-wise, and you gain Slippery, which means backliners just hop away if they get attacked. I really love these, and I think I should have rated them S, but then on the other hand, this movement-based playstyle is not everyone's cup of tea, but I think they are actually S. Unicorns I ranked on A, because phasing is really excellent for all ranged backline builds, but for melee-centric builds I didn't find it that much of an appeal. Anyways, even if you use it for backline breaching tactics, the plus 5 HP are not enough to give them an S, in my opinion. And White Wolves, also A. You see I'm tossing around a lot of A's here. Pack Hunter for free, amazing. Enfeebling Howl on top of that, which is a 1-point action ability which weakens. I really love this package. You get a lot of versatility out of that, and even if you're not a Dark Culture which loves the Enfeebling Howl most, you really can get quite some advantages out of that. Nice AoE, nice increase of damage. It's just a good versatility thing. Alright. That's been the list. You might have noticed that I didn't rank too many things on C and D. This is because I think the form and racial trait list is really well kept, and altogether most options are really good. Even the ones that are ranked on C are in the right environment okay, but I think they're really... Maybe I'm overlooking something. Feel free to teach me about the things that you feel different about, because I always am eager to learn from you folks. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, feel free to donate, otherwise financially support the channel. There's YouTube channel memberships, donations, and other things in the link downstairs below. Thanks a lot for all the help that you're sending out, and a lot of thanks for watching this video up until the very end. I hope it was helpful, and I wish you a great day. Bye-bye.